Hey everybody, my name is RC Concepcion. I'm a photographer, educator, and the author of The Enthusiast Guide to Lightroom, 55 Photographic Principles You Need to Know. This series is designed to give you tips and techniques that are going to make your work better and make you work faster inside of Lightroom. Now, inside of Lightroom, one of the things that you have recently is the concept of a smart preview. You usually see it during the import photos and videos part of the process. You'll notice that you have a section right here that's called Build Smart Preview. So I like to build it right when we bring them in. Now, this is what it is. Let's say that I have a series of pictures that I want to work with here, right? So I have this one picture, and notice that you see that there's an original photo here, which means that I can go into the Develop module and do any kind of changes that I would want with it. Now, this photo happens to be, if I go to the Finder, in my Images area. But if I take this folder and I move it, let's say to my desktop, right? I've moved it from its original location. And this is more often than not something that would happen if you would have folders on a removable hard drive, right? So you disconnect the hard drive and now the photo is missing. You can't edit any information now because the photo is missing. The moment that you reconnect that hard drive, it would know exactly where that is, and it would be like plugging it back in. Now you take a look, and inside of here, it's back up and running. So what they did is they said, all right, well, let's take a series of pictures and create smart previews. I'm going to go to Library, and on the Library, I'm going to go to Previews. I'm going to build Smart Previews. Now, it's going to grab this information and create smart previews for these files. And you'll notice that under the Develop setting, you have Original and Smart Preview. The benefit to this is if I take this again and I disconnect it or move it or do something else with it, if I go back inside of here, notice that it still just says Smart Preview. And you have the option to do any kind of adjustments that you want to this file. That is a good thing. The moment you take that file and you move that file back into its location or plug in the hard drive again, what will happen now is it'll go back to Original and Smart Preview, and those settings that you made when it was disconnected automatically get re-added to the original file. Perfect scenario. Sounds awesome. But there's a problem. A lot of this has to do with size, right? If you go back into your grid module, you'll notice that during the import process, there was a section that said import build previews of minimal, then there's a standard, and then there's a one-to-one. Those sizes take up space on a computer, right? So the standard preview is a small size, the one-to-one preview is much larger. The smart preview is even larger still. So how do you manage it? If every single thing that you brought in to Lightroom had a smart preview, the files that you're going to be using are huge. And Lightroom already knows this because when it builds one-to-one previews, which was the largest preview at the time, it says you really shouldn't keep these things more than a specific amount of time. Go into your preferences, and under your preferences, what I want to do is I want to go and take a look at, go into your catalog settings, and inside of your catalog settings, I'm going to go to File Handling. And you'll notice that inside of here, you have a preview cache of 406 megs for just 300 pictures. So it can get pretty big. Now, right here, automatically discard one-to-one previews after 30 days. Now, I have just 7 pictures. It's taken up 4 megs. Pretty big. As you start adding more and more, this smart preview section is going to get really, really, really large. And if Lightroom already knows that after 30 days, you probably should get rid of the one-to-one previews, why isn't there any setting here for the smart previews? Those are even bigger. Wouldn't you want some sort of warning to tell you, look, you got a lot of smart previews. Your catalog's huge. Your hard drive's almost full. It's because of these smart previews. Get rid of them or do something to them. So that's one of the reasons that I tell people, build them on the fly and then keep an eye on it. Make sure that it doesn't get crazy. This is how you want to do that. Inside of your collections over here, I'm going to click on the plus sign and I'm going to create Smart Collection. And I'm going to call one Smart Previews. Inside of here, I want to match just this one thing. Has Smart Preview. has smart preview is true. Make sure you create that, and now you have a section here that keeps an eye on how many smart previews you have. If you notice that you're running out of space and things are getting a little crazy, you can always look at that smart preview section and say, is that number really high? If it's high, let me go take a look at what I've done, plug everything in, make sure that everything is synced, and then get rid of those smart previews. You can always single click, shift click, grab a series, go back into library, go back into previews, and notice from here you can discard the smart previews. That'll discard the previews for those photos. They're gone, you've reclaimed some space, and now you have a better handle of how to be able to use what is a pretty cool piece of tech inside of Lightroom. If you want to see more tips and tricks like this, make sure that you get my book, The Enthusiast Guide to Lightroom. It's over at rockynook.com. My name's RC, thanks for watching.